Welcome to the Four Bells, and here we are doing workout from home number 80. Today you find us at the beginning of week 2 of our COVID push-up lockdown cycle. And what are we trying to do today? We are trying to build on the work that we did last week. So we're going to talk about that in just a second. But if we can, we're looking to inch forward. So to get us into our push-up day, we need to get the shoulders and the arms nice and prepped. So we are going to do 3 things in our warm-up today. We're going to start with some shoulder dislocates. That can be done with either a band or a PVC pipe or a broomstick or a belt. From there, we're going to get into some windmills. Can be done just with body weight, particularly if you know you're a little bit stiff through the lateral chain, through the side of you. Or you can add a dumbbell or a light kettlebell into the mix. And last but not least, the scorpion, looking a little bit of spinal rotation, as well as trying to open up the pecs and the shoulders. So let's take a look at these 3 movements and how they pertain to today's strength piece. With our first exercise in the warm-up, it is a shoulder dislocate. To do a shoulder dislocate or dislocate, however you like to pronounce it, you don't need much. In the gym, we usually use 2 versions. One is a PVC pipe, and the other is a band. But of course, if you don't have any of those, I would recommend things like a broomstick, your jiu-jitsu belt, anything that is fairly long that you can put your hands on. So if I'm starting with a band or with a PVC pipe, I want to start with hands pretty far apart and be nice to the shoulders. So I'm going to pass over, touching the low back or the bum, and then trying to keep the rib cage relatively down. Trying not to be too extended. Keep the rib cage down, keep the abs tight. And if that's pretty easy, as the sets go on, we're just going to be moving the hands closer and closer and closer to try and stress that shoulder mobility. From there, we are going to get into our windmill. With the windmill, you can start with just body weight. For a lot of people who have very tight shoulders and very tight hamstrings and lateral chains, the side of the body, I would say just start with body weight, and then you can add a small kettlebell into it if you want to. So that means if I'm going to start with my right hand, that means my feet are going to be a little bit wider, and if my right hand is up, my feet both point to the left. From here, I'm going to look at my right hand, do the bump, and I hinge down to the floor, trying to get my fingertips as close to the floor as possible. I then bring the bicep to the ear. We do the bump, I come down, and stand back up. So of course, if that's pretty easy for you, we can add some weight to the situation. And all I'm going to do is look at that kettlebell as I bring the hand down, and then come back up to that standing position. Of course, once I've done 5 on one side, I'm going to then switch the hands. Of course, if the left arm is up, the feet point to the right. From there, when it comes to our scorpion, I need a mat, laying face down. For some people in our gym, they tell us it's a bit tender on the chesticles for some people. So if that's the case, you can do it laying on your back, exactly the same thing. But if we can, I'm going to lay face down, arms extended, and I'm going to bring my left foot over to my right hand. And I'm going to try and get as close as I can, and then I switcheroo, right foot to left hand, and we're going to do 5 each side. So, with the warm-up today, 10 shoulder dislocates, 5 dislocates, whatever you want to call them. We're going to do 10 of those, 5 windmills per side, and then 5 scorpions per side, alternating 3 rounds. That's the warm-up. With our strength piece today, as we are now in week 2 of our push-up cycle, we're trying to build on what we did last week and continue that gain for the next few weeks to come. So, it all depends on what level you are. So, how do we approach our strength piece? We are going to have 5 sets today. Each set is 3 minutes long, split into 2 90-second windows of time. So if you remember from last week and from the testing week before, we were trying to ascertain what level we were. Are we level 1, trying to get our first push-up? Are we level 2, trying to build on our push-up numbers? Or are we level 3, more advanced, and we're trying to get our first one-arm push-up? Today, if we are doing level 1 scale, you will notice the volume, the amount of reps comes down, which means the difficulty should be going up. So as you can hear today, it says 4 to 8 reps. If you can do 6, 7, 8, we're trying to make it harder, which means get closer to the floor. So if you have like a barbell in a rack, you would move the bar down. If you're on the stairs at home, try and move down to the next step. If you're at level 2, you're going to notice the volume, the amount of reps you're doing has gone up. We've gone from 5 to 10 now to 5 to 12. We're trying to push that volume across all the working sets. And if we're doing our level 3, our one arm push-up, just like with the scaled, because we know it's going to be tough to get our first rep, we bring the volume down, the intensity should be higher, and we'll be doing 4 reps per arm. Once I've spent my 90 seconds doing my push-ups, next 90 seconds is going to be rear delt flies. So using only light weights, light pair of dumbbells, maybe 2 cans of chickpeas, whatever it happens to be, we're going to be doing them for 45 seconds straight. Fair amount of time on attention for the back of the shoulders, and as we've mentioned during this cycle, we're going to do our work to make sure not only the front of the shoulder is getting stronger, but also we're keeping the back of those shoulders nice and healthy. So let's take a look at both of these exercises and how they should go down. Push-up time. When it comes to push-ups, we spoke about it now for a few weeks, the universal hand position, which is basically just means that whenever you're doing any kind of push-up variation, there's a few things we need to be thinking about. Of course, shoulder position, keeping those shoulders healthy. Elbow position, so that again, we can keep those shoulders healthy. So we always talk about bending the bar, which means we use the lats to stabilize the shoulder, pit of the elbow pointing forward. So now, as the weeks go on, if we are doing scaled push-ups now, where the reps are coming down, and the intensity, the difficulty level should be going up. If I can do my reps, and I can do all 8, and then pretty easy, then I should be finding a way to get closer and closer to the floor. So the easiest way to do that, if you are fortunate enough to have stairs in your home, is to start at higher stairs and work your way closer and closer and closer to the floor. Of course, if we're doing a regular push-up, same rules apply. Only difference is now, as the volume starts to increase, keeping the quality high is the most important thing. And we were talking about total working reps across the working sets, which means, how do I describe that? Let's say, as you can see, it says 5 to 12. In set number 1, if you do all 12, and then in the following sets to come, you just do like 1 and 2, sadness. We don't want that. So it means if you could do like 7 across all 5 sets, that's more total reps. So think about what you can do to get the most reps in across all 5 working sets. And of course, if we're on the floor, we spoke about this recently at the gym, chest should be about an inch from the floor, the nose should be just booping its way to the ground. Last but not least, if I'm doing my one arm push-up variation, with the non-working arm, so this is my working arm, with my non-working arm, how far can I get the hand out to the side and onto what we like to call the spider? And then from there, how close can I bring the hand down towards the hip? So that's what we should be playing around with, bringing the hand out and then bringing the hand down. But that always means that on this working arm, I'm still keeping the elbow nice and close to the shoulder as I'm pressing. And then play around with how close we can get the hand to the hip. So regardless of what we're doing, if we're doing level 1, 4 to 8 reps, level 2 is 5 to 12, and one arm, level 3 is 4 and 4. Try and make it as tough as you can and get as many quality reps in as you can. If push-ups are the A side to our record, then the rear delt fly, or all this work we've been doing for the back of the shoulders, rotator cuff, scapular retraction, that is the B side, that is the accessory piece. Doesn't mean it's not as important, there's still some good tracks in there, but it supports the A side. So what we're looking to do with rear delt flies today is very similar to things that we've done with the Y raise, with the YTWI. What we're looking to do is build up the upper back, the rear delts and the rotator cuff. So with the rear delt fly, we're going to be in like a hinged position, so very similar to a Romanian deadlift. But what we're looking to do is squeeze the shoulder blades together as we do our flies. So you don't need much. You don't need super heavy weights. I'm just going to start with 2 5-pounds here. Probably the most I will do in a strength piece is around 15 pounds. Past that, things can get a little bit flappy, and maybe based on momentum, and that's not what we want. So I'm going to hinge forwards, get into that Romanian deadlift position. I'm going to come up, and then control the weight down. Up, squeeze, control that weight down. What I'm trying to avoid is just flapping away. Gravity is winning, momentum is here. I'm trying to avoid leading with the elbows, and I'm trying to avoid leading with my face. All 3 of those together combined is an ugly rear delt fly. So I want to come up, control the way down. Squeeze, control the way down. 45 seconds, start light, then get heavier, but make those reps look beautiful. For the conditioning piece today, we have essentially some accessory work dressed up as a muscular endurance piece. We are doing a 15-minute conditioning piece today where we have 1 minute round, 1 minute stations rather, that we are doing for 5 rounds today. So in each of our 1 minute stations, we are going to be working for 45 seconds, and then we take a 15-second rest or really transition into the next station. So minute number 1 is going to be plank ups today. So on the hands, elbow, elbow, hand, hand. A lot of work for tricep extension. We'll talk about how to deal with that, particularly if you find plank ups very tough. From there, we'll be doing some kind of bicep curl. So again, what do you have available? Here at the gym, in an ideal world, we'd just be using an empty barbell. If you don't have that, we're going to talk about some options in a second. And last but not least, the hollow hold. So if you know, here at the 4 bells, we have 4 levels to the hollow hold. We're going to go over those, but essentially I'm trying to pick one that I can do for 45 seconds without breaking. So we're going to do these 3 stations 5 times. That's how the conditioning piece will look today. Let's take a look at those exercises. Prepare to see the plank up quite a few times over the weeks to come, as it is not only a great movement to do at home if you have very limited equipment, but it's also a fantastic exercise to help develop the triceps, develop stability in the shoulder, and develop the abs. All 3 of those things we need if we want to get good at push-ups. So in our 45-second first station today, we're doing plank ups. The first thing people will say to me is, what do I do if I can't do plank ups for 45 seconds straight? That's fine. We're just going to hang out in that plank on the hands, and then if you need to rest, rest. But what we're trying to do is staying on the hands, stay on the toes without the knees touching the floor for 45 seconds. So, hands directly below the shoulders, feet are a little bit wider than normal because we're going to be moving around a little bit. It should be elbow, elbow, hand, hand, pressing up. Of course, then I start with the other side, elbow, elbow, and then I'm actively pressing, press up, and then hand comes down as well. Again, if I said if you find that you can't do them for 45 seconds straight, try and just hang out in the plank. Try not to let the knees touch down. That's what we should be thinking about when we are doing our plank up in our first station. With bicep curls, what do you have available? If I'm in the gym, I'm probably going to use an empty barbell of some kind. So if you're thinking, well, that's great, I don't have an empty barbell, you could always use a pair of dumbbells. You could use one heavy dumbbell and a crush grip. You could even use bands. So if you're not sure what to do, send us a message. We will happily tell you. Ideally, what I'm going to do is just try and bolster myself up against something. So it could be an upright in the gym, could be a door frame, could be a wall. And all I'm going to try to do is perform bicep curls for 45 seconds straight. I'm not going at it like a maniac, trying to smash myself in the face. You want to be nice, smooth, controlled reps. And again, if I find that 45 seconds is a bit too long, that's okay. Just rest for a second, try and shake the arms out, and then keep moving for 45 seconds straight. That's it, bicep curls. Paps. With the hollow hold, a fantastic exercise for what is known as a hollow body position in gymnastics, which basically means, can I brace my abdominals as hard as possible? So think to yourself, if someone's going to punch me in the stomach, would I be flared up, ribcage wide open, please punch me? Or would I be ribcage down, trying to brace my abs for impact? That's what we should be thinking when we're doing our hollow hold. So when we're doing our hollow hold here at the gym, there is a lot more levels if you want to get elaborate, but they're really just variations on the hollow hold. So really we have 4 that we do at the gym here. Level number 1 starts off quite easy. I start by looking through my feet to the wall in front of me. I'm going to reach forwards to that wall. Notice how the shoulder blades come off the mat. And I'm going to bring my knees up to the ceiling. So pressing the low back down, this is level number 1. From here, level number 2 is one leg straight. Level 2.5 is the other leg. So I split that 45 seconds up. Level 3 is both legs straight. And then level 4 is both arms overhead. But we're still keeping the low back pressed down. So with our conditioning piece today, 45 seconds of work, 15 seconds of rest. First minute is going to be plank ups, second minute is bicep curls, third minute is hollow holds. We're trying to move or hold for those 45 seconds without resting. We're going to do that for 5 rounds. Have fun, let us know how you get on.